Welcome back to the Social Work Race, the voice of social workers and other professionals in social care. Check this out. I want to look at an article I found, or it's a compilation of articles that I've put together to find out how social workers can be better at time management. Now, check this out. I remember when I was in uni in the first year, and we had a social worker that had written a book after 7 years of practice and was doing their PhD. He was really helpful. Can't remember his name. Chris Dyke. That's it. I've got his book as well. Chris Dyke came to our university and gave us an hour about time management. And I was thinking, look, I've worked with social workers and they've all said, look, it's a struggle to manage time. So I'm like, how am I going to do it? I want to be very realistic about this. I've worked in youth justice. I know what time management means, but I've heard that social work is much more challenging. So this is it. I'm going to read to you a list of suggestions for how social workers can manage their time. Now, just going back, Chris was saying, and I asked him this question: how do you manage your time? And he said, you can do it. You can do it. Now I'm thinking, is his head in the clouds, or is he just trying to sell me social work, or is it for real? So here we go. I'm going to read this list to you, and then I'm going to tell you what I think, and also I'm going to tell you give you the methods that I use also for how I manage my time. Okay. So here we go. Tip number one is use automated tools. Social workers can use tools like scheduling software, email templates, document templates to automate tasks and save time. Absolutely, yeah. Get your signature in your email. In my role, we have dedicated templates that we use for, say, closure letters or requests for information or form from agencies. Yeah, we do that. So that helps. So all you do is change your name or update the name in the template. Absolutely, you need that. Without those, you just be starting from scratch. So of course you need that. But then the organization that you work for should have those for you so that everything's uniform across the service. Otherwise, you know, it'd be a problem, and you know that. Number two, organize tasks based on priority and efficiency. Social workers should prioritize tasks based on their importance and urgency and organize them in a way that maximizes efficiency. Yeah, sounds good. Okay. So, yeah, you do have to do that to a point. Now, it works for me up to a point. Now, the truth is, no, actually, no. Let me go back. Oh, I'm going to just say yes or no. Yeah, it does work up to a point. Uh, and I'll comment on this at the end. That's what I'll do. Um, it doesn't work for everybody, and that's because yeah, I'm trying not to go into it, but I'll get into it in the end. All right. Organize tasks based on priority and efficiency. Okay, we'll try and do that. Okay, but it doesn't always work, and I'm going to tell you why. Block out your time. Social workers can block out specific times in their calendar for certain tasks, such as returning phone calls or completing paperwork. Yeah, okay. Um, that is similar to the first one or the one before it, which is organizing tasks. So when you block out time, that means that we often will be given PC. So you're using a Microsoft Outlook, and I use my diary. I prefer to keep things digital, and that means I will say, well, I'm doing training here, I'm doing visits on this day, I'm doing this at this time. We try to keep to that, but it depends on the team that you work in and the demands, of course. So sometimes it works. We'll get into that in a minute. Here's an interesting one. Um, Setting boundaries. Okay. So setting boundaries with clients and colleagues can help social workers manage their time more effectively. For example, social workers can announce exactly how much time they have for a session and what they plan to do during that time. Yeah, so you do need to set boundaries. There are times when you need to say to people, or say a suggestion for a training course, I can't do it, because you know that if you do that course just because it's been requested, you will not get your job done. That's the reality. Or you might not be able to do something that's very important. Don't forget that you sometimes have to say no. I think that's what it means. Just say no sometimes. but you can't always say no. Sometimes, like for example, when you get to supervision, your manager will say, "Well, what training have you done this month?" Okay, they might see you in 4 weeks' time, um, and then it's, "Have you done training this month?" And then you say no, and it looks bad. So, but really, truly, you should be learning how to develop yourself. So when you are setting boundaries, you also have to remember that you have to take care of yourself by maintaining your training. So that one's up and down. That's the reality, okay? A to-do list. This is my favorite, okay? A to-do list, I write down literally just the things that I know I need to do now. Although there's 10, I write down 5 because they need to be done urgently. So that's kind of how I prioritize. I'll write down the things that I need. That works for me. Um, and I get satisfaction by ticking it off. I really enjoy that. So yeah, write a to-do list, call John at so and so time, leave a message for so and so, send an email to the police. Yeah, that's me all day long. Schedule breaks. Yeah. I have to take a breath on this one because again, it just depends, right? But we'll come back to that. Look, I mean, honestly, taking a break. I worked with a colleague who between 12 and 1 every single day, you can't get through to them at all, because they had a stroke. No, it wasn't a stroke. For them, it was a heart attack. All right. And he said, it won't happen to me again. Change his diet, and it takes a 1 hour break every single day without fail. So, you think about that. To be fair, there are periods in social work where you won't get that. Periods. But if that's your job on a whole, if you're pushing the bar, you will fail at some point. There's no doubt about that. This is social work. This isn't football. Do you know what I mean? There we go. One more. Scheduling. Use effective scheduling. Effective scheduling is one of the most important time management skills social workers can use. Scheduling is a process by which you can plan the use of your time in order to be effective. Scheduling must be done with careful thought and consideration of your goals, priorities, and available time. Yes. Now, look, let me share with you my personal reality. And my personal reality is based on listening to the experiences of others as well as myself. You got to find what works for you, but you got to find it. You have to, and it will happen. You have a digital diary in front of you, or you can get a planner. New generation social work is a good link to get your planner. All right, I've got one, and it helps you map out how you're going to do that. Wish I had it here. I would have shown it to you. So you've got to work out what works for you. Don't just, if you attempt to do it on the fly, you will at some point crash because you have no structure. You will stab in the dark and you will become flustered because you don't know what your day looks like. The first thing you need to do every day is just sit down and take literally just 5 minutes to work out what you're doing for the day. Trust me, if there's anything that I do in social work that saves me a whole lot of stress, it's taking 5 minutes, no more than that, to work out what I'm doing for the day. I also want to share with you the reality is of time management is that sometimes you cannot manage your time. There are periods where you may get a series of assessments that demand more than the time you have. And that can be stressful, but that's where your resilience is developed. There are times when it's just too much, but it doesn't last forever. Be consistent, work out your time, manage your time as best as you can, and find a system that works for you. And I hope this was helpful. Take care of yourselves.